It's the Stereophonics on Dubai Eye 103.8. Helen Farmer with you, and it's your very last chance to tell me, what was your very first taste of Dubai? When you landed, when you arrived, maybe you grew up here, maybe it's just about an early memory. The first dish you had, the first restaurant you went to. Take a little trip down memory lane. It's been really interesting. We've had messages about Za'atar with Zayt at 4 a.m. Oh, yes, I remember it well. About Karak. We've had messages about, beach barbecues. We've had messages about burgers on Beach Road, going for shawarmas in Bur Dubai, Bastakia, Arabic breakfast from Shah. What was your first bite in Dubai? Let me know that on 4001. And you could be winning 4 tickets to go along to Taste of Dubai. It's going to be back on the weekend of the 6th to the 8th of February, of course, at the Media City Amphitheatre. So pop-ups from amazing restaurants from around the city, celebrity chefs, workshops, loads of shopping, live entertainment as well. So message me your first taste of Dubai, plus your name and the word taste, please, so the computer can pick you. And we're picking a winner in about 10 minutes' time.
This is Eye on Education on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Sponsored by Repton School Al Barsha. Exemplary British education for ages 3 to 18, where ambition is nurtured and potential is unlocked.
My heart sank when I saw a headline this morning. Children starting school trying to swipe and tap books like phones. This is out of the UK. It's caught a lot of attention alongside reports from primary teachers that some 4 and 5-year-olds are arriving without basic independent skills. But what does that mean for reading, attention, how children build confidence and the love of books from a really early age? Charlotte Aspery is with us today, the Deputy Head of English at Horizon English School, whose expertise does lie in those early years primary literacy, working with young children at the very beginning of their reading journey. So, we can talk about moving from screens to stories and, of course, what we can do at home as well. What is it that you love about your job, Charlotte? Why did you want to work, especially with English and little ones?
I think it's just seeing that magic of reading come alive, seeing the children, how they really get immersed in a book, how they take it in their own direction. I think it just creates that whole kind of imagination and that fantasy side, and then to see that come through in their play, that's just the best bit about it.
There are kind of specific years and stages where it can just click, and as a parent, it's magic.
Yeah.
You know, for them to point at a road sign and sound it out, or to pick up a book by choice and you go, oh, interesting. And I think we were talking earlier about those older years and how books can be incredibly powerful for empathy and transportation, but actually that also starts earlier as well, you know, talking about emotions and understanding other kids' perspectives a little bit. But I want to come back to that headline before we talk about some of the positives, because that is really, really sad. You know, children trying to swipe books like screens. With early years and primary, as parents, we are fighting a bit of a battle between, you know, screen and page. What are you seeing? Is that something that's kind of cropped up increasingly?
Yeah, unfortunately, the comment I get from parents a lot is they don't want to read. So it's kind of unpicking that, and I see it at school there all the time. They ask me, even though I've been my classes teacher for 2 years now, and we never watch the screen. However, they will still ask every single day. And I think they think that they find enjoyment through a screen, so that's what they want. Whereas actually when you do reading and other great things, they find that enjoyment. But I think, unfortunately, that screen time sticks in their mind as that's what they're enjoying right now.
I think it's also a little bit about, we've got to work harder as readers, haven't we? Our
Of
brains have got to make those leaps about imagining what a character looks like, or, you know, using those descriptive words to take us somewhere. So if we're being literally spoon-fed a story on a screen, it's not as challenging. But then the reward isn't as good either.
Of course, yeah.
So for parents who are listening who feel like they might have missed the boat a bit, who think, well, we've kind of lost that battle. I think it's ever too late, Charlotte?
No, never. Ever. I think the earlier you do start, the better. However, it's never too late. You can always, like with any habit, reading should be a habit. It should be an enjoyable experience, and you can learn a new habit whenever if you're 40, 50 years old. So it's exactly the same with children, sooner rather than later, but no, never too late.
What about those kids who've had their confidence knocked, and that might be through, you know, going to a school or a nursery where they've, you know, maybe been belittled or, you know, told they're not good readers, or and we've all had that situation where you've got to read out loud and you stumble and you feel your heart in your mouth and you're like,
of course,
oh, I feel so self-conscious. How can you start to build the confidence?
I think it's kind of finding first the root of the problem. Like you said before, reading is so complex. There's so many skills. You've got to decode the words, you've got to understand the meaning, you've got to learn new vocabulary. That's before you even start with comprehension. So I think it is so easy for children to become discouraged. And as you say, oh, read out loud in front of the class. It's so common, but that might be so difficult for some children.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, so I think it's how do you kind of, first of all, find the issue, help them, support them with that, and then how to build that confidence. And I think that confidence comes through finding enjoyment and finding those small wins and helping the children feel as though they have achieved something, they can read. And reading levels are so different, no matter how old you are, that's okay. And you're supported at whatever level you're at.
The Literature Festival, of course, is happening this weekend. And I was lucky enough to come into your school last week to read my book. And I think it's something really powerful, actually, for kids to meet authors.
Yeah, of course.
Have that brought to life.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're really lucky here that, we have events such as that.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that can impact how a child might view literature?
I think it's just kind of the child seeing it in real life. For example, if they love football and a footballer came in, it's so inspiring to see, actually, this can be my job. I could do this. And authors often tell their stories about how they got into it. And a lot of authors weren't confident readers at school. And I think it just gives the children that confidence and that empowerment that they can achieve everything and that they ever want to do.
A lot of it is habit.
Yeah, of course.
I think for many parents, there were some really awful stats that some parents just find bedtime reading boring.
Yeah.
And listen, I say this as someone who can get to 7:30 and I'm like, the last thing I want to do is read a story. Sometimes it's honestly the highlight of my day.
Yeah.
And I love it. But I never regret doing it.
Yeah.
I never regret sitting down for 10, 15, 20 minutes with that child kind of in the nook, having that shared moment. And I wanted to ask you, especially for the little ones, the kind of, FS year 1, 2, which books are really popular right now? Which are the ones that you can't keep in the library, or the books that they're really connecting to as part of the curriculum?
Well, with my class in particular, a lot of kind of the old favourites. And I say to my children all the time, I read this when I was your age and this was my favourite book. Like, you've got the authors like Julia Donaldson, Oliver Jeffers, etc., who I think will always be popular, but I think it kind of comes from the adult. My class particularly like books that I enjoy, but also figuring out which authors as well and helping them from easy as 3 years old that authors, they write different books. And if you like this one, perhaps you'd like that one, and finding authors that write similar texts and things and then helping those make those links. So I think interest can be anywhere. I think, of course, books should be chosen based on interest, so they can be kind of in all different pockets. But I think the main ones are kind of those stories that build that fantasy and that the children can really get immersed in.
So do make sure, if you can, to go along this weekend, because I think there is something so magical about a child seeing an illustrator, draw something in front of them, or being able to ask where an idea came
just
from.
Seeing them in the flesh and not that person behind the book.
Exactly. What, from your perspective, because as I said, we do have these magic light bulb moments with the younger kids where they put words together and they understand what is there and that comprehension's there. But why do you see some people start to disengage from reading as they get older, Charlotte?
I think there's so many different reasons there. What we talked about earlier, reading's unfortunately not as common anymore. There's audio books and things which are great, but it's not actual that physical book and like holding the book. I think lots of books are based not around children's interests, so naturally they become disengaged from that. Again, the pressure. I think there's a lot of pressure. Obviously, reading underpins everything. It underpins the whole curriculum, and even the younger children are so aware of that. And I think it all kind of comes down to confidence and finding that love of reading.
Now, I wanted to ask you a little bit about what's actionable tonight. So for parents listening, is there a simple routine or habit? And it was interesting because Susanna was saying their model.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely.
Yeah, to say, right, next half hour, we're all going to get onto the sofa with our books. Yeah. With the little ones, can that be effective as well?
Yeah, of course. And I think it's important to reflect on, when was the last time you read a book? Has your child ever seen you reading a book and expressing enjoyment from that? And unfortunately, most likely not. Exactly the same with writing. We just don't need to do it anymore in this day and age. So I think 100% model it, make it part of your daily routine and not kind of a chore. I think sometimes reading before bed is amazing, but even the way that you talk about that, rather than we need to do our reading, it's I'd love to do your reading with you now, but also understanding that it doesn't always work. It's not always going to be the right time for that child, and that's completely fine. Change your routine a little bit, mix the routine up. Children love changes. They love finding out about exciting ways, or can you go out at the weekend and read a book in the park on a bench? It's just something different.
Going to the bookshop.
Yeah.
Just a quick word though. Can we please support our local bookshops? We've
Yeah.
seen, unfortunately, Bookworm having to close its doors in the Meadows. Please, 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 because not only are you supporting businesses, but I think there's nothing more exciting for a kid to be like, here's your budget. You've got 50 dirhams
The
to
book
spend.
fair, the children's faces
Such a
absolutely
treat.
light up, and they're like, how many can I get? Have I got enough for this one? And you feel awful saying you can only choose one because they want to buy them all, which is great.
So there's a little bit of homework for everyone this weekend. A bit of reframing. Showing excitement about it. Go to the bookshop. I mean, because I think for them to have some agency, some choice, because they can choose reading book at school, but I think to go into a shop and be like, you can choose whatever you're attracted to.
Yeah, and let them go for it. Let them branch out a little bit, and you might look at the book and think, I wouldn't have chose that one, but they did, and there will be a reason behind that.
Lastly, Charlotte, what are you reading right now?
I'm reading Frida McFadden at the moment. I'm hooked. I think every single one I read, I flip between a few authors, but I keep going back to her. So I'm on the last one of The Housemaid at the moment.
I just finished reading The Teacher before Christmas, and I can't wait for the movies to come out. It's going to be brilliant.
Me too, patiently waiting.
Charlotte Aspery in the studio today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Charlotte is the Deputy Head of English at Horizon English School. We're going to be taking a trip to the Gulf next and picking some winners. 4001 for your very last chance to go into the draw.
Dubai Eye 103.8's weather check.
Sponsored by Air Arabia. Get